here at Unisa in Pretoria, where renowned businessman, educator, as well as a chartered accountant, Dr. Sizwe Nxasana has just delivered a lecture on the democratisation of accounting in higher education. But to reflect more on its impact on jobs as well as the economy, I'm going to turn now to Dr. Nxasana. Dr. Nxasana, a very good day to you, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me.
All right, the topic of jobs in South Africa is quite an important one. Talk to us about the importance then of the democratisation of accounting in higher education and that impact.
Well, democratization in the context that we're just talking about, but it actually applies to a lot of other spheres of our society in South Africa, is about addressing the fundamental issues that are contributing to inequality, joblessness, as well as the problem that we have in the country. So it is about how do we make sure that we're providing our young people, for starters, with education that gives them access to opportunities so that they can meaningfully participate. And it is about addressing fundamental issues that we face in the country around the quality of our education system, participation in areas such as mathematics, the issue of language and the language of learning and teaching, and how that can often hold a lot of our children back in terms of how they may even participate in the education system itself. And then the transition into the higher education sector even before young people get to the world of work. So it is about addressing some of those fundamental issues that are still major constraints in our country that add to the problem of unemployment, inequality and poverty that we have.
Now, you spoke earlier, you gave us some numbers in terms of the progress that we've made in the last 30 years. Can you just take us through that progress and what are some of the sort of concerns that came up to you?
Well, the number of concerns, obviously we've seen the pass rates in matric particularly increase since we became a democratic country. But when you analyze the quality of those passes, especially at grade 12, suddenly you find that there are a number of concerning areas, like, for instance, the participation in mathematics as opposed to mathematics literacy is a big issue. We have about just over 30% of our young people who are participating in mathematics as opposed to mathematics literacy. When you look at the pass rates, especially the pass rates that are required for certain professions or trades, suddenly you find that as a country we're not really doing well there. So we've got to fundamentally address the issue of training teachers who are specialists in teaching mathematics from grade R rolled all the way up to grade 12. We've got to address the issue of the curriculum. What do we teach in mathematics? Which areas do we focus on? Because we find that when you, for instance, look at things like basic functions, basic procedures, complex procedures, and critical thinking, you can actually pass mathematics just doing the routine functions. And therefore, you find that a lot of young people, as they enter, for instance, into university, they may fail with very good grades in mathematics simply because maybe they didn't do those things that are required, especially in professions such as accounting, engineering, actuarial science, medicine, and so on.
And in concluding your remarks, you mentioned sort of you had a call to action as one of your solutions. Can you take us through that?
Well, at the end of the day, the government has said this long ago, that government alone cannot solve the social problems that we have in South Africa. We need social partners, civil society working with government to solve some of the problems that we have. So just like we have the GNU now, where we have different political parties working together, we need more collaboration in addressing the fundamental problems and challenges that we face as a country. We need professional bodies, we need unions, teacher unions, we need state-owned enterprises, we need employers, the private sector, to come in, and already they've come in, but a lot more can be addressed, especially identifying some of the fundamental issues. For instance, the issue of language, mother tongue-based bilingual education, as an example, needs a lot of resources so that we can, for instance, develop terminology, we can develop the languages, especially the indigenous languages, so that they can be used in the classroom, because we know that without that, a lot of our children and teachers suffer a lot because more than 80% of our teachers and learners in this African education system are not English or Afrikaans first language speakers. And yet, the language of learning and teaching from grade 4 is English or otherwise Afrikaans for those that are Afrikaans medium.